All right. Hello and welcome everybody to another LinkedIn Live. Very excited to continue our series highlighting some of the all-stars of B2B marketing, and very excited to have with us today Courtney Tripp, who this is the first time in this series. We signed someone up when they were at a previous company, and now they're at another company, which is great because now we have like two stories to tell. So very excited to have with us the marketing director for the Fast Forward Group, recently running marketing for the Americas for Grundfos. And Courtney, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
So would love to have you maybe start with just a little bit of background of you, sort of your marketing leadership and ABM journey to date, and sort of what brings you to your current place at Fast Forward Group.
Absolutely. So I have 16 years of experience, my entire career spent in integrated marketing and communications. And where I like to start with my background is really I came up through content. I came up with a journalism background. And I think I bring not only that insight of creating content for audiences in a journalistic sort of way to everything I do, but also never being afraid to ask a good question and to dig in deeper. Throughout my career, I also built up a really strong foundation in digital strategy, digital influence, and researching just how much online behavior translates to offline behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And then bringing that all together as that integrated marketing leader, understanding that while content is king, that distribution and reaching the right people is just as important. And that's where ABM really comes in as part of that just smart marketing strategy to really be laser focused on marketing and sales alignment around who are our ideal customers and where and how can we reach them with that message so that it doesn't feel like a mass blast out to the public, but really feels like a conversation and a very tailored outreach to them. Throughout my career, I've worked in a variety of industries, higher education, healthcare, engineering, manufacturing, and now most recently, training and development. And what I like to say is the red thread that you can't see through my resume is that I'm really passionate about working for companies that are making a positive impact and a positive difference in the world. So while Grundfos is the world's largest pump company, they are also dedicated to solving the world's water and energy crisis and improving the lives of people. And really clean, safe water is at the core of what they do. And that's really what drew me there. And at the Fast Forward Group, we're helping people achieve success and fulfillment in their entire life, and realizing that that is possible even in today's high stress, always on work environment, and bringing that to some of the most innovative companies in the world is truly an exciting opportunity.
I love that. Well, I want to dig in a little bit on the work that you did at Grundfos. You were there almost 3 years and built a robust account-based program there. And I love the fact that you mentioned it wasn't just marketing. The fact that to do this well, it has to be sort of an aligned program between sales and marketing. Talk about how that evolved for you at Grundfos and sort of what were some of the key elements of making that successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think it had to do with really kind of three core partnerships, two internal, and then one kind of being that external set of partnerships. So the first partnership was really marketing and sales. And our team in North America was structured so that there was a marketing lead for each of our business units. And while we were on the marketing team, we were sitting in every sales leadership team meeting. We were a core part of that sales leadership team. And I think that was tremendously important and helped bring about that light bulb moment where we said, okay, we really need to invest and go after this account-based strategy, is because, sitting in those meetings, hearing the targets, hearing the focus that the team had from a sales side, why would we want to just do a broad-based campaign targeting everyone in the food and beverage space when we know who our top 50 targets in that space are? And so that was a really key element. And as we refine that strategy, having the sales team there every step of the way, helping vet lists, helping to make that determination of when is a lead warm enough, when is a lead considered hot enough, and how they want to be involved in that marketing sales handoff helped us to really deliver on that seamless experience for potential customers who inquired. The other key, I would say, internal partnership was the way our marketing team was set up. So we had these, my team of marketing managers who were integrated with the sales team and driving that strategy. But we also had a really strong creative services team, designers, content, so while we used external agencies, we had an internal agency who knew the beating heart of Grundfos and could help us scale and customize as needed. And then finally, of course, we had our digital team, our Marketo ninjas and experts who, really helped us to nurture those leads and to deliver that side of the puzzle, as well as some of the solutions for product configuration, which is so important in this manufacturing space, making it easy for customers to do business with us. Then the external partnership, people like Kazoo Media and Rollworks were essential, making sure we had those right partners for building that strategy and executing, who are going to dig in and become just as big a part of Grundfos as our internal teams were.
Love it. Yeah, I love that you talk about sort of those internal and external partnerships, that this isn't just marketing and sales, that this really does take an ecosystem to develop. I wanted to go back to something you said earlier. You mentioned your sort of journalism background. And that I love hearing that, because I think, journalists, and I have a journalism degree historically as well. And I think, it's one thing to write, but journalists are trained to tell stories. Talk about the importance of storytelling and incorporating that into marketing and sales efforts, and what are some best practices to bring that discipline to bear there?
Oh, great question. And storytelling is something I love to talk about. I think, it's part of what drew me to journalism initially. And, as a disciplined storyteller, whenever you're honored with the opportunity to tell someone else's story, I think it starts with being a curious person, asking the right questions, and really listening, and not just hearing what they say, but really, really listening to, it comes back to some of those communication truisms about, more than 70% of communication is nonverbal. So seeing that moment when your interviewee lights up and knowing there's something to dig in there, I think that's where the journalism discipline really serves me well. I think the other thing on that front is, we're storytelling animals as humans. Reference to the wonderful John Gottschall book there. And, when we're hearing something as that story that has that narrative arc, where someone's facing a challenge and having to work through it, and, we see ourselves as we relate to that fellow human, I think it transforms something in a way in our minds. It stops being about the widget and starts being about empathy and understanding. And I think that's where people can really connect, not only with the solutions they're looking for, but really with the brand. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. So almost 3 years at Grundfos, you're now at a different company in a different industry. And I know we talked before, it's not just account-based marketing you're managing now. You're looking at brand awareness, marketing, positioning. And I think a lot of people, when they think about account-based efforts, they think about sort of that buying journey motion, like driving leads and coordinating the buying journey and coordinating with sales. All super important. Talk about the impact of brand awareness and driving brand as a component of an account-based effort. How do those two disciplines and efforts sort of combine successfully?
Oh, great question. So, I think where I'd start with that is, a strong foundation is so critical to a great account-based marketing program. If you're investing in paid media, whether it's account-based paid media or search engine marketing, and at the same time you're leaving things on the untapped as far as organic search or organic content through social media, you're missing an opportunity. So I think, before you jump into, okay, we're going to dive into B2B or ABM and drive leads down the pipeline, making sure that you've tapped into all those opportunities as far as, organic, and as far as building a really strong foundation, addressing pain points in the buyer's journey that may exist, forms that ask for, 5 questions that aren't really essential to what they're trying to download. All of that is going to help make that journey through ABM so much smoother, with so much less friction. So it's really important, I would say, to start there. And then, from a brand awareness perspective, it's so much different, whether you're talking about ABM or anything else. It's so much different to start a conversation with a potential buyer who's wondering who or what a Grundfos is or what Fast Forward Group does, versus a buyer who's, heard about you or is familiar with you. And I think going into those conversations, as it were, whether that's, on your website or the landing page or the digital ad that you're putting out there, with that understanding of whether this person, likely has awareness or not, changes its message, changes its strategy. And I think, buyers, even in the B2B space, are really motivated by what a company stands for and who a company is. And even if we're talking about a very specific campaign about, this specific type of training or this specific type of, water treatment solution, the same things that attracted me to these companies as an employee are the very resonant things that get back to brand and who the companies are as they show up every day. And I think that, again, it ties to, who we want to do business with as individuals, as companies. And it reflects not only on the individual buyers, but also as a company who they choose to do business with. And that's where I think that brand can be so important in the ABM space and beyond.
Such a great answer. And I totally agree with you that, and everything kind of goes together. If you're a prospect kind of looking at a business, you're not really saying, well, this message must have come from the brand team, and this message must have come from the marketing team, and this is email team. And no. It's what comes from your organization. So everything in the body of work that comes from Fast Forward Group is creating an impact on that audience. It's creating competitive differentiation in one direction or the other, right? So I think, thinking about all that together is super important. Okay, new company, you've been there for 2 months, so obviously you have everything figured out now. But like when you take sort of an account-based approach from one company to a new company, to a new industry, to a new audience overall, what are some of the common building blocks you start with? Like if someone's watching this and saying, we don't do an account-based play today at our current company, or I'm about to start in a company where there is a more complex buying journey, what are the foundational elements you recommend they start with?
Great question. And yeah, it's one of those things where it's, how do you eat an elephant? It kind of starts with this one bite at a time sort of approach. And with that discipline, having both that end goal in mind, starting with the finish, where do you want to be, as well as then really breaking it down is what's going to make you successful. And for me, the biggest place that starts is with conversations, with your C-level or whomever is setting that direction. In our case, it's our CEO and president, as well as our head of sales, and having those really rich conversations of who are our ideal buyers? What do they look like? What do they have in common? And not just looking at the quantitative on paper about, how big is their team, what industry are they in, et cetera, but also some of the qualitative and starting to understand the behaviors of those buyers that are most common in your portfolio now, as well as some of those top prospects. And then, as I mentioned before, I think a lot of it right now is about foundation, making sure, we have strong customer pathways in place, making sure our email listening nurture journeys are locked in and solid, and then building up a base of content. For account-based marketing, this part of the success we had at Grundfos, we had various content that people could opt in and either download or opt in to participate in webinars, depending on the point in the journey they were at. The forms would be more or less complicated. The giveaway would be more or less rich. And I think having that content and experience match the point in their journey was really important. And so that's something that you can start very early on, looking at auditing what content you have, auditing the value of that, making sure you're pairing the content with the prospects' needs. And then, starting to bring that together and looking at, what is the right tech stack or platform to start to deliver that with, and, setting some really specific, targeted, measurable outcomes for a year from now. The one other thing I'll mention that I think is incredibly important is really having and this is something we're doing right now, is having some discussions and collaborating with your sales team to understand lead velocity and how long it takes someone to travel through your pipeline. Because, if you set a target for 1 year from now and it takes the average prospect, 18 months to make it from prospect to closed deal, you're going to have a hard time with that measurement versus, if you understand, okay, we're on a 3-month buying cycle, that's a different story.
Yep. I totally agree. All right, we're going to pivot here to our lightning round, but I first want to sort of shout out to Olga, who's watching this, who was on your team before. And I don't know if you can see this that I'm putting up on screen, but just said you are an amazing manager with a supportive understanding and just a true leader. So thank you, Olga, for that comment. And you can definitely tell just in Courtney's comments and just the empathy and care she has for her audience and target audience. It's going to shines through. Okay, lightning round. If you've seen this before, you know the drill. We got 5 quick questions, quick answers, just to sort of round out the conversation. You ready? Lightning round?
I think I'm ready.
Ready? Okay. All right. First question: favorite unsung tech tool in your MarTech stack and why? And this, given you just changed, this can be like previous tech stack or current tech stack.
Oh, this has to be project management software. I've used Rike. I'm also now using Asana. I know we don't think about this as part of the marketing tech stack, but I would not be able to live without my project management.
How can no, you can't. You got to think about like how you do the marketing and how you manage the effort around the marketing has to be part of that tech stack, right? So I love that answer. All right. What is one sales or marketing pet peeve?
Ooh, sales or marketing pet peeve. Pretty it up. Heard it a few times throughout the career. Can you pretty this up? No, let's have a conversation about strategy and what we're trying to accomplish. We are not the pretty it up department. We are the strategy and marketing arm of the company that's driving revenue together with you.
Make the logo bigger. It'll all be fine. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. All right. What is one, and this doesn't have to just be work, but what is one guilty pleasure that you are proud of?
I love to sing while driving, like put on the pop hit, crank it up loud. People driving next to me have definitely seen me both singing and dancing in the car.
Okay, follow-up question. Is there a song or genre that gets a little louder that you are just, when it comes on, like it's go time?
Oh, it crosses genres a lot, but Shut Up and Dance is going to get me going every time.
I love that. It's what's funny is we have young kids and we've taught them that, shut up. It's not a bad word, but it's just something we don't say. So when that song comes on, like they also want to sing it, and mama likes to sing it, but they're like, can we sing it? Can we say the chorus? It's really kind of fun.
Are we okay here?
Yeah. Okay, last 2 questions. What is a key part of your morning get work started routine?
Ooh, this is a big hat tip to fast forward. So one of the practices that they really bring in their training and coaching is to start the day with writing down 3 things you're grateful for, and the day with writing down 3 things you're proud of or accomplished well. I'm living the work. Part of my onboarding was going through their training, and I've incorporated this in my mornings. It's a huge difference maker.
So that was part of your onboarding from the Fast Forward group?
Was to go through their training program and experience Fast Forward firsthand. Yeah.
Oh man, that's phenomenal. I love that. All right. And then related last question, what's a key part of your afternoon or evening done with work routine? How do you transition off of work at the end of the day?
I ride my horse. So that's my other passion in life. I have a Hanoverian. I'm training in dressage, and getting outside
Wow.
to the barn and riding my horse is that is my escape. The days she has off, I also have a big vegetable garden, and just getting outside in the dirt makes me feel good.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Boy, get outside, get into nature. I love it. Well, live from Lenexa, Kansas, Courtney Tripp, thank you so much for joining us today, sharing so much about your expertise, experience, best practices around account base. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll be here again next week. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, Matt.